What's up, residents? Today we're going to talk about the box office estimates for Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And I promise I'm not on my own talking to myself. In my ear, I have the lovely...
What's up, everyone? Jacob here.
We have Jacob, yes. So essentially, a website has estimated what Godzilla is going to earn, and this website is usually quite reliable. They tend to undermine, the actual estimates a bit, but in this case, they've actually estimated that Godzilla is going to earn, at least domestically, $40 to $60 million in its opening weekend, which essentially is the lowest in the series so far. What do you think about that? Do you think that is accurate? Do you think that's just completely wrong? Or do you think everything in this world is just going insane?
I think definitely everything in the world's going insane, 100%, but I don't think that's going to be really that accurate to what King of the Monsters is going to do. It seems like this movie has way more hype than Skull Island and the original 2014 Godzilla, so I wouldn't take too much heart into what that site's saying for right now, at least.
I think it'll just do over that. To compare, they made a very similar estimate for Shazam, and it's earned about $3 million over what they estimated. So, it is a little bit lower, but it is usually quite accurate. Shazam being a Warner Brothers film, so they're going to market it in a relatively similar way. It's got, obviously a lower budget, but I assume the marketing will have similar tactics. And essentially, Shazam is completely dominating international waters, which I'm going to guess is what their goal is for King of the Monsters as well. Because over here, at least, in Western markets, I haven't seen a lot of advertisement for King of the Monsters in my local cinema. No posters. There was a trailer that played when I went to see Hellboy yesterday, and it was a cut down version of the second trailer. So it's almost like they don't have the confidence to release the full trailer, and it comes out in a month, like just over a month. And it's getting a bit scary. It's getting a bit worrying. But hearing that Shazam's doing ridiculously good over water, international, in China especially, is promising, because it means that Godzilla's going to potentially have legs. If we look at 2014, Godzilla's opening, it had a $91 million opening domestically, and it's ridiculous. That earned whole lot of money. It actually went on to make $200 million domestically, in total, which is pretty good. It did slow down a bit, which I think was due to, the word of mouth was that it didn't appeal to, the general market, which I think will change going into King of the Monsters, because I think the action is really gonna shoot this thing for, a longer time period than Godzilla would. So I think it's gonna have longer legs. Whether it will earn as much is at least from my perspective, difficult to say because of the lack of marketing. What do you think about that? Do you think it's going to earn as much as Godzilla 2014? How much do you think it's going to get?
All right, so I mean, everything tells us that it should make more than Godzilla 2014. We have to take into account that was the first big real American Godzilla, so it kind of had that force. Yeah, but the first one that people really, took serious as a Godzilla film. So it had that wow, that shock, that Godzilla Force Awakens kind of oh my God, we're back to where it all began sort of feel. And so I get the point where you're saying where this one might not have that oomph when it first starts, but I definitely think over time this one will do better than 2014. Everything's just showing that it should. If it doesn't, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, so Kong, its sequel, did get more income by, marginally. It got about $30 million more total, so we got $561 million international and, domestic. So both those together, but it only got a $61 million, opening in domestic, markets, which is pretty good. It's still not bad, especially when you consider how well it did overall, but it's obviously a trend that's going down. So I can understand why they've estimated it's going to get 40 to 60 million. I think 60 million is bang on what it's probably going to get. That's my guess, just based on Kong being quite similarly marketed. Because what people's mistakes are that their personal hype and what's involved in the movie, like more monsters means more money. That's not the case at all. There's so many films out there that will have tons of stuff that most people don't even know about. Like I'm sure Alita had tons of stuff from the the original anime that lots of people didn't know about. Yet that film only made about $400 million at the box office, and that film was pretty good. That deserved a lot more than what it got. But you can see from the marketing's perspective why it might not necessarily earn the money that it needs to be considered a success, because it needs to get at least $450 million to be a success. It's got an estimated budget of $200 million, which is ridiculous. It might be incorrect, but according to the actual estimates on Wikipedia, that is what it says. Will it make over $450 million? Probably. I'm going to guess it will. And I think I'm going to say that's thanks to China, which is where the Warner Brothers films are kind of flourishing at the moment. The Meg came out and did ridiculously well in China, and that's because of they added loads of China elements, and that's why it flourished there. And they got some Chinese actors in this film as well, which would hopefully push it in that market. I just made a hold on, wait for that f***ing car to go past.
Damn that car.
I just made a poll on the community tab on our channels, asking them how much they think Godzilla's going to earn. You'll see that most of them tend to say that it's going to earn over $750 million, and most of them in the comments are saying that it's going to earn over $1 billion. And this goes back to my
Superfan syndrome. I would love nothing more for it to get over $1 billion at the box office, but that would be the biggest monster film of all time. Oh, by far. I actually remember reading something saying that no monster movie other than Jurassic Park, the Jurassic movies, that's kind of monster movies, but no monster movie has made over $600 million. Now, I may be wrong, but I remember reading something about that.
Yeah.
I think King of the Monsters has a real good chance of doing that. Like, I'm not going to be overly optimistic and say it's going to get $1 billion. I don't think that's going to happen. If that does happen, ka-ching, so that'll be sweet, and we'll get...
Then at that point, we might get even more MonsterVerse films.
Yeah.
Because obviously you heard about how Legendary is interested in making more MonsterVerse films after, Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think they have to make a ton of money for Toho to be like, yeah, we're going to scrap our, cinematic universe. Go on, Legendary.
Do the work
Keep
for us.
making what you're making.
Yeah, I actually watched an interview with the director, Michael Daughtry, recently, and he said that, hey, if you want more films, go invite 4 of your buddies who aren't into monster movies to come watch with you. Tell them to bring even more people. He pretty much said, it will happen if it makes enough money. And so that's exciting. We just need to make sure that Godzilla's spread around the world and everyone knows about it.
Well, I'm planning on spreading it to as many people as possible. You're going to watch it.
Watch it. And just remember, everyone that is concerned, at the end of the day, if a movie doesn't make over $1 billion, that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. A lot of, quote, bad movies make over $1 billion. So it still could be a great movie and not make as much money. So people just need to also keep that in mind, that a movie isn't great by how much money it makes, which is what a common modern thought is that it has to make money to be a good movie.
Yeah, and that's obviously a detriment to what's happened with the Marvel films, is that there's this growing mindset that if your movie doesn't gain over $1 billion at the box office, then it's a failure, which is massively incorrect. That's not true remotely. $1 billion is a luxury. That is still like a lottery ticket winning. There's more chance of you winning the lottery than there is your film making over $1 billion at the box office. At the end of the day, we're getting Godzilla vs. Kong next year. We guaranteed it. I'm wondering what will happen if the film doesn't necessarily do well. I'm wondering how that's going to affect Godzilla vs. Kong. Do you reckon they would just release it straight to Netflix?
No, I think if anything, they'll just change up their game and try to market it differently and try to go all out for it being like the grand finale, This one, they're playing it low. Yeah. They're playing it cool. I think they're banking on Godzilla's his legend, 65 years of being the king of the monsters. I think they're banking on people that are 60 years old, 40 years old, 26 years old, 20 years old, 15 years old.
3 years old.
3 years old. It doesn't matter. Godzilla is for everybody.
It's reminding me a bit of the Aquaman, when Aquaman released, where no one was kind of really expecting it to do as well as it did. Obviously, you had a few DC fans that were pretty hyped, but Marvel fans were basically laughing at the fact that they were making an Aquaman film. Then it came out and they realized it's really cool. It's a pretty fun film.
Yeah.
And in thanks to word of mouth, it earned over $1 billion at the box office, which absolutely no one expected.
No one expected
I would absolutely love that kind of thing to happen to Godzilla. I'd like someone to leave and go, hey, dude who isn't normally into Godzilla films, come watch this film, because I think it'll absolutely appease to you.
Yeah, for sure.
And I want that to happen. Everyone in the comments do that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Aquaman, I didn't see any marketing any different than what's going on for King of the Monsters. If anything, it was less than what King of the Monsters was getting. Everybody's been bashing DC for years now, and the movie did really well. So King of the Monsters has a real good chance. I figured in that first week, if people are like, holy crap, this is the monster movie of all monster movies, that it'll definitely help it. And it definitely has a chance of at least making in that 600 to 700 million range. I feel like that's a realistic goal for a movie like this.
I think 600 is
if it can pass 600, that's awesome, because that's the most a monster movie would have ever made.
Exactly. And that would be a title it will probably hold for the rest of its days, until maybe Godzilla vs. Kong comes out next year. And I think that will probably get quite a lot of the box.
Yeah, if anything, it'll probably do even more.
I think having both Godzilla and Kong in the title, I think that could easily get like $800 million at the box office.
Yeah, I mean, it's the two king of the monsters. They both, King Kong came up in the 1930s, Godzilla's from the 1950s. These are the two gods of the monster world. So
these are the kaiju.
They are the kaiju.
The kaiju of all kaiju.
Yes.
Hello, this is Alistair coming at you a day after I recorded that discussion. Why yes, I did have my hair cut. Thank you for noticing. I'm here to tell you that if you enjoyed this kind of video, just leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see us discuss next. And if you want to keep up to date on everything Godzilla related, then subscribe to DangerVille and become a resident today. It isn't weird. I'm being stared at by someone in the other offices. I've been Alistair from DangerVille, and we'll see you in the next one.